Hi, wordy wordy, I'm back. So this is going to be my DFWCon debrief video. I want to talk about the sessions that I went to that really were impactful to me, and there are a whole bunch of them, so I'm going to try to do it fast. First, I went to the painless editing session. That was my very first one, which was a great place to start because it was about becoming a better beta reader and being able to give useful feedback to writers. And I think it was designed for people who are working as editors, but it worked really well for me as someone who is really interested in the beta reading feedback piece of being part of a writing community. So I really got a lot out of that one. I then went to a couple of sessions about diversity. One was the Writing Past Cliche that had some great tips on how to write about communities and people that aren't necessarily part of your personal experience. And it was interesting because that's obviously a very touchy subject these days. And I thought he handled it really well and gave some really good advice. Primarily, do your research. Know what you're talking about. And if you're not going to do your research and you don't know what you're talking about, you're not going to connect with the people on an authentic level, then don't write it. And I really thought it was good advice. Then I also went to the Writing Believable LGBTQ characters, and really loved that one as well. Had some, actually a lot of the same advice, not so much the go to those communities, but just like know what you're talking about and write real people. Don't let the cliches be the only thing that you say about the characters that you're writing. What I really loved about that session is I came away with a reading list of like 24 books that I want to go find and read that sounded really great. So that was a fun one. Then I also went to the Fight or Flight session where we learned about how to identify your character's fears and then use those fears to really bring them to life and really enrich your story and make things move forward in a believable way. And I think that is one of the sessions that I took the most information out of. I am already using that information in starting to write this book, this novel that I'm working on. It's so hard to still say that. Someday I'm going to be able to say that without like a little choking noise beforehand. Anyway, it was a super useful session, and I think I'm already using that information a lot. Then after that, I went to the Fighting Demons. Nope, the next day. Sorry, that was the end of the day. The next day, I went to the Fighting Demons one right off the bat, and that session talked about internal and external conflict and also went into a lot of the psychology of developing characters. And it worked really well for me because I know there are a lot of people who, want to know their character's zodiac and what Harry Potter house they would be in and things like that, which I get. Like, I get it's their way of really connecting with a character. But I like the idea of talking about their fears and their internal conflicts more. Like, for some reason that resonates more with me. So this one was also very helpful. I didn't do a lot of sessions the second day because I was really tired. So I think I skipped out on the next couple. I, looked at the tables and talked to DL at the Write Club booth. Hey, DL. And then I have a bunch of notes from the Query Gong show during lunch that day. I always get a lot of good information from the Query Gong show, or last year, the First Page Gong show. I jot down notes on every single thing that causes a gong to happen. So someday when I have to write my own query letter, I will at least know the things to not include. So, and then finally, I really loved the way I ended my convention experience. I went to the Monster in Every Writer's Closet session that talked about self-doubt and how to identify self-doubt and what it does to writers. And she gave specific information on how to begin addressing that self-doubt and rebuilding those like neural pathways that cause us to question our ability in things. And again, I really took a lot out of that one, and I feel like I've already started using that information. So, oh, also Scott Westerfeld's keynote on Saturday was amazing. I took a bunch of notes from that too. I loved what he had to say about how similes and cliches, when they're bad, it's usually that they're bad because they're taking us out of the character or they're not matching the character in some way. And I've always struggled with cliche and like, what is cliche and why is this one bad and that one not and whatnot. And this really helped me realize like, oh, here's a way that I can know if this is a cliche that needs to go or if it's not cliche. I don't know. Anyway, that was my DFWCon experience. Those were the sessions that I loved. If anybody out there wants to see my notes on them, I know they've said in the inner circle on Facebook that it's okay to share information. So if you missed a session because you were doing a pitch or whatever, let me know. I have notes on all of those and I'm happy to share. Also, oh my gosh, I'm at 7 minutes. So sorry. Anyway, I want to say one last thing. Write Club, awesome, record-breaking, and I'm going to put a link, hopefully, to the place where you can sign up for the email list for next year in case you really want to join Write Club and win yourself some prizes next year. All right, bye guys.